So going into the World Championships, I was really nervous about a home crowd, and I was worried about how it would maybe bring me too many nerves and I might not be able to cope with that, or it might be distracting for me, or all these different worries that I was having. And I was saying, look, I can't kid myself. I don't think I'm going to enjoy having that level of kind of focus and attention. So I don't think so. Let's try and work through those thoughts and kind of reframe them. So reframing them might not be the best outcome because I can't kid myself that I'm worried about it. So it was like, okay, you're worried about this. Is there another way that we can look at it just in case? And is there a way that we can deal with that thought, and what can you focus on instead? And it actually turned out, so I was like, I don't think I'm going to enjoy having that crowd. I think I'm going to have to just cope with it. And it ended up being throughout that competition, because of the work that we did and saying, this is how you can cope with it, but this is how we can reframe it and really thrive under it. Ended up being the case that I started to enjoy having that crowd.
Yeah, well, if you want anyone to get better at something, they've got to show up and do it, and they've got to do it consistently. So that's the most important thing. So we always try and, as we did it at the EIS, you try to bring things back to first principles. So from a strength training perspective, we require consistency, we require volume, we require specificity, and you require intensity. So the first thing we require is some sort of, for volume, for your consistency, is a scheduling change to make sure that everyone actually turns up. The next thing you need to do is make sure that they're actually doing something consistently. So then it's about exercise selection to match the needs and the feel of the athlete in particular. And then finally is intensity. So it's almost how do you trick or hack intensity, and came up with a kind of model of gamification.
Just as part of being a funded athlete, as part of being on this program, it's the holistic development of athletes is part of performance. I think it's still, and there are some really good examples of sports having a good go at this, and practitioners really sort of pushing to integrate this conversation and to integrate into the process. And there really are, but there are still some sports where this is a separate conversation, and it sits separately and an athlete's got to work twice as hard to put all these pieces together for themselves.
And my approach has been to try to learn from other fields, back to the maybe I don't know, but give me 24 hours and I'll find out how we can do it. Sometimes it takes more than 24 hours, but for instance, there are many examples on how to conduct research agenda prioritization frameworks or approaches. So we looked into, what does the World Health Organization do? WHO, how do they prioritize? So we look at their approach, other approaches. Clearly, you need to cut it down based on resources, time frame, etc. But what the important thing, which, by the way, won't be in any way surprising to you, but actually you need to listen basically to your stakeholder, to your athletes, to your coaches. So that was my initial proposition.